We're live, my friends. It is Thursday, the 19th day of May, 2011. We're going to be live here for at least the next 3 hours. We have Dr. Paul Craig Roberts joining us on the economy, and also his contention that this is a police state setup with Dominique Strauss-Kahn, because Kahn hadn't been going along with the absolute total raping of third world nations, and had actually been talking about debt forgiveness and changing course at the IMF. Kahn is a Bilderberg Group member, globalist, one world government promoter, and it's all degrees of evil. But when you're that far down the line, the guy just radiated corruption. I have no doubt where there's smoke, there's fire, but I want to hear what Dr. Paul Craig Roberts has to say about all this today, coming up in an hour and a half from now. And another visit with Dr. Steve Pieczenik today in the third hour. We may even go in a little bit of overdrive with him to take your phone calls if you've got any questions or comments for him. But I will bring up the continuity of agenda question for him that listeners have wanted me to pose. How can he say that George Herbert Walker Bush was good, but then George W. Bush is bad? How can he say 9/11's an inside job and the bin Laden thing's fake, and then say that earlier administrations, from his perspective, were better? Well, that's his personal view. We've had him on about his inside intel as a psychological warfare expert and the whole bin Laden situation, but I will pose that question to him. But I've also got him on dealing with a Wall Street Journal article that dealt with al-Qaeda wanting a safe harbor inside the United States, and a known al-Qaeda affiliate basically being mainlined by the U.S. media, and what Pieczenik calls payoffs to administration officials to get them to do that. So some very interesting information with Dr. Steve Pieczenik coming up in the third hour today. That said, I ended up staying up here until around midnight last night. Aaron Dykes has not even left, even though I told him, I said, look, go ahead and come back in. You know, don't stay too late. I guess midnight around here isn't that late these days. I said, don't stay up all night. Well, Aaron has such a passion for the information that he's here right now. The 10-minute expose video is ready, but because it's shot in high def, it has to convert several times before it can be uploaded to YouTube. It may be ready by the end of the show, probably not. I haven't even come up with a headline for it. I don't know what you call this, just a White House running scared over birth certificate. Birth certificate hoax part 2. I've got a big stack of news and information that broke last night at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Birther bombshell, Corsi to release evidence proving Obama certificate a fraudulent composite. We've already found that, but Corsi is pretty conservative when it comes to being very careful to make bold statements. His book doesn't even say that Obama basically wasn't born in Hawaii. It just says there's a cover-up of it and give us the birth certificate. And Corsi's revealed that 3 weeks before the birth certificate was released, he had word it was going to be released. I also had word through reporters in and around the White House and out of Chicago that was the case. And they thought about releasing it with Bill O'Reilly on the Super Bowl, but thought better of it to closer to the election. But there's been some big developments. Esquire got caught putting out a hoax article yesterday, and WorldNet Daily says they're looking at suing them. I think they pretty much have to, because this was definitely economic warfare against WorldNet Daily. And it's a psychological warfare tactic. We'll tell you about that. There's a bunch of geopolitical news, very scary police state news. It is Thursday, the 19th day of May, 2011. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts joining us, also Dr. Steve Pieczenik. There has been some huge new developments on the whole Obama birth certificate situation. I'm going to be breaking that down in a moment. Also, in other news, we're going to be going over Dominique Strauss-Kahn to resign as IMF post, may get a $1 million bail. in New York. Again, he has resigned as managing director of the IMF. Also, they've got a new favorite for the helm of the IMF in the running. We also have Gordon Brown, Mr. World Government himself, in there. Dominique Strauss-Kahn has arrived for sex case bail hearing. We'll give you the latest on that as it unfolds. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts does join us coming up in about an hour and a half from now, dealing with his headline, The Strauss-Kahn Frame-Up, the American Police State Strides Forward. I have an open mind on this whole thing. I don't know what happened. I don't think any of us really do. That's why we have trials in this country. That's why everyone deserves a trial, even if it's an unsavory pro-world government Bilderberg group member like Strauss-Kahn. Because if this dirtbag doesn't have access to a free and fair trial, I am not going to have one. You understand? That's why Ron Paul is right saying, okay, bin Laden did it, you say. Arrest him. If he didn't resist, arrest him. Bring him in. Let's hear. Let's interrogate him. Let's get him on the witness stand. Let's call witnesses. Let's find out. That's what trials are about. They're investigations of the truth. And anybody that promotes not having trials, anybody that promotes torture, anybody that promotes secret arrest, anybody that promotes secret military commissions is a tyrant and is a criminal pushing the absolute abolition of freedom. History is 100% clear on that. So we'll be getting a breakdown from Dr. Paul Craig Roberts on that coming up. Speaking of police state, on the heels of last week's Indiana Supreme Court ruling where the head judge in the decision, in the winning decision, it was a 3-2 at their Supreme Court, said, I read the quote repeatedly, that the police can go in your house for any reason or no reason at all. And it actually attacked the Magna Carta as some type of criminal instrument. I mean, this is the basis of Western civilization, the Republic, America, red, white, and blue. See, America isn't just red, white, and blue. We honor the flag because it symbolizes the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence. And people could say, well, it isn't perfect. It isn't perfect because we haven't enforced it. We've let criminals slowly abridge it until now the bottom has fallen out. The same week, U.S. Supreme Court abridged the Fourth Amendment about 90%. This gun case in Indiana is 100% and is over the top. If it's possible, it's 110%. And here's Illinois Gun reporting for Infowars.com. Indiana Sheriff, house-to-house random search is now possible for guns. And remember Blagojevich, a few months before he got disgraced, we played the CBS News clip, gave a press conference and said, I want to use the National Guard door-to-door searching for guns. Just, well, you have no presumption of innocence. We're going to come search your guns. And the feds have financed with grants, and so the cops take it and do it. Knock and talk for at least a decade, from Arizona to Texas, from Vermont to Massachusetts to California. Liberal, conservative states, they don't care. And particularly Texas does this. Houston and Dallas that I've seen in the Dallas Morning News, Houston Chronicle, they come to your door and say, we'd like to come in and look at your guns. And most people just are intimidated and say, come on in. I have nothing to hide. It's the state that has to be bound down and controlled. It's not that we have something to hide, and so that's why we're against letting them in. It's that they can't be trusted in history. They work for us. 100% of the time when cops start coming into your house without warrants, and there's more news out of the thousands and thousands of secret sneak and peek warrants issued by secret federal courts under the Patriot Act, and it's non-terror related in almost every case. They just come in your house when you're not there, and it's designed for framing you. It's designed for planting things in your house. And what happens if you catch the FBI or the ATF inside your house? Well, they gun you down. And I've been following the last 2 weeks or week and a half. The Arizona SWAT team shoots Latino former Marine dozens of times. This guy had no criminal record. This guy was upstanding record in the Marine Corps, 2 tours, heavy combat in Iraq. His wife wakes him up, been working the graveyard shift, just been asleep 2 hours, got home at 7, ate something, went to bed. Woke him up. I mean, my wife's woken me up before. when she's seen somebody walking around by the back gate, or one time somebody climbed the fence and got in our yard, some crazed fan. And my wife's woken me up before, because I sleep like a dead pharaoh. I mean, I sleep like I've been dead for 2,000 years. You can have firecrackers going off. I mean, you can shake me, and it's actually a weakness that I sleep like the dead. But she's shaken me awake before, you know, to go to the instant access pistol safe and get a gun. Well, the children saw men looking in, ran to their mother. She saw men looking in. She woke her husband up. He went for his AR-15. They busted down the door and reportedly shot him 60 times of 70 shots. I got to hand it to him. Usually when SWAT teams do this, they shoot 100 times and only hit the person 2 or 3 times. Of 70 shots, hit him 60 times, basically liquefying him, but he was still alive. And what's really outraged, folks, are the transcripts of the tapes, the 911 tapes. She's calling saying, please help. And she goes, sorry, it's a SWAT team. I'm not sending you an ambulance, basically. She's like, he's bleeding to death. He needs help. And 5 minutes later, she goes, he stopped breathing. He's dead.